we're going to move on to Dr. Smith. We want to hear how should we define DEI.
I think I'm going to start the conversation about what it is not. Because over the last year, probably even longer than that, it has been mischaracterized in a lot of ways, co-opted, and has been the target of everything that individuals, in a very similar way with CRT, this misunderstanding and kind of the boogeyman in higher education, or just education period. What it is not is indoctrination. Every time I hear that, I get very insulted, especially for our students, because you all are all free. We teach you to think. We teach you to think critically and to question. And so to say that, higher education and DEI in particular is about indoctrination is extremely insulting and offensive to me, as well as many practitioners, educators, both in K through 12 as well as higher ed. I will say I'm talking about this from a lens as a practitioner. I think this is a great panel from a kind of scholar practitioner mindset. And so really thinking about what it looks like for DEI and the implementation in higher education. DEI is also not a threat to academic freedom. Actually, it embraces academic freedom. It also embraces academic integrity and the diversity of ideas and backgrounds and the exchange of that. I'm going to give you a direct quote of what people have said DEI is, which is it stifles the intellectual diversity, it prevents equal opportunity, and excludes anyone who dissents from rigid orthodoxy. And that was a direct quote from the Manhattan Institute. They have been working very diligently to create, I'm going to say, a roadmap or a framework of how to abolish DEI in public education. And so if you have not taken a look at the Manhattan Institute, I encourage you to do so. Because there are clear language about what to put in policies and proposed laws to remove it, and particular carve-outs for ADA, particular carve-outs for Title IX, and so it is a roadmap, and so that is something that has been, like I said, a direct quote of what they see DEI is, and it is clearly it's not. It's also not the cause of the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. I need to say that, right? Like when I heard that, I was like, wow, like to use DEI as a target for everything that is wrong with, kind of current events or what's going on. And its purpose is not to aim for a particular political ideology. DEI is really embraces, especially at this institution, creating an equitable and inclusive place where every individual can collectively thrive and be the best and most authentic versions of themselves in this institution. DEI is really about creating a place of belonging, but it's also about acknowledging our history, that we all haven't belonged here, we all haven't had a place here, and some of us are still fighting to have a place here. It's also, DEI is about thinking about access and opportunity, and so that, because oftentimes people want to say E is about equality, and when we say E is about equity, and the difference between equity and equality is that equality is about fairness. If we all started from the same place and there were not systems currently in place creating obstacles, then yes, I would be all for equality, but equity is about acknowledging the difference, that we all did not start at the same place. There are current systems and policies and processes in place intentionally that put us at different disadvantages. And so that's where the equity comes into place. Inclusion, and what I would say here at this institution, it is so intentionally interwoven into the fabric, because if you pull, and I'm going to give you an example, if you pull this string out of DEI, you are going to impact. And I know they want to target, in particular, the Division of Diversity and Community Engagement. They want to target our associate deans for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the colleges and schools. They want to target certain our faculty who teach particular courses. They want to target our vice provost for faculty diversity, equity, and inclusion. But what is often not realized is that DEI is also about thinking about prayer rooms for our Muslim students and for our Christian, thinking about religious diversity. It is also about our disability and access and making sure that we have accommodations, but also we are celebrating a disability culture. It's also about gender-inclusive restrooms and gender-inclusive housing at this institution. It's also about the research that's being done in IUPRA and across the university. It's about, again, all of the faculty that we hire that really enrich the type of knowledge base that students get access to. It's the speakers that we bring. It's also, women in STEM, accessing, having little girls and individuals who want to get into the STEM field. It's college readiness. All of those things are part of diversity, equity, and inclusion at this institution. So it's not just one office, it's not just one person or one role. All of us are responsible for diversity, equity, and inclusion at this institution. And if you try to abolish it, it impacts all of us. And so I think that's the piece that is not always readily seen. It's going to impact our grants, and our accreditation. So, and because there are federal grants and accreditations that are stating that we have to have a focus on DE&I in some of the research that we do. So I think that's the piece, and I can go into more details, especially about our strategic direction and our plan, about our approach later on, but I at least wanted to paint a picture of the practical and pragmatic execution of DE&I at this institution. And I also feel like it is necessary to say that this has been happening for decades, right? This is not something that's recent. We've had I would say a diversity and inclusion action plan in 2017. And I think it's important to acknowledge all the people that came before this time that have been actively working to create progress and making sure that there is an institution where everybody belongs. They see themselves at this institution. They see themselves represented in leadership, in faculty. They see themselves and they see their cultures not only embraced but celebrated. So all of that is what has been happening. There is still so much more for us to do, but I do think it's important that we also acknowledge the progress that has been made. So I'll stop there.